today in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, who has been missing in action, he comes out, his people, to say, he was missing for 2 weeks because he was with his wife for cancer treatment. Well, how hard it is to say that versus keeping it mysterious. Very few people actually believe that was the case. So today he decided to have a news conference in the state capitol. And a Jacksonville activist decided, you know what? I'm a citizen. I need to ask some questions of the governor of the state. This is what happened today to Ben Fraizer.
Am I being arrested, sir? And for what reason am I being detained? The governor is afraid to meet with the people. He is an enemy of the people. He is an enemy of the people. He is an enemy of the people. When it comes to public welfare, this governor does not care. When it comes to public welfare, this governor does not care. When it comes to public welfare, this governor does not care. This governor does not care. Why am I the only person being detained? Wait a minute. Hey, okay, wait a minute now. I need to be able to get on this vehicle. I do. I don't know why you have me with handcuffs. Why? Why am I being handcuffed? Why am I being handcuffed? Why am I being handcuffed? I have not done anything anyway. Why am I being handcuffed? Why am I being handcuffed? Why am I being handcuffed, Sergeant Gerald? I asked the question, why am I being handcuffed? Am I being arrested? Am I being arrested? I'm asking a question. Am I being arrested? There are other people here. Why are they not being handcuffed? Why am I being handcuffed?
Sir, likewise, please. Officer Leon will show you the way out. Thank you, sir.
So Ben Fraizer kept asking that question, why am I being handcuffed? This was the statement from Christina Pushaw, who is the press secretary for Governor Ron DeSantis. The press conference is for credentialed media to cover information from the governor's office and state leaders that is important for the public to hear. Mr. Frazier is an activist, not a member of the press. Every citizen has the right to protest in public places, but not to trespass in a secured facility in order to disrupt a press briefing and prevent information from being conveyed to the public. Kind regards, Christina Pushaw. All righty then. Joining us right now from Jacksonville, Florida is activist Ben Fraizer. Ben, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. First of all, were you actually arrested or were you detained?
I was actually arrested. Allow me to say thank you so much for having us on the show this evening. I think it's also very interesting that I've spent 50 years as a credentialed journalist, a member of the National Association of Black Journalists, but now I'm just an activist. So I guess I've been either demoted or they're simply ignoring my past credentials as a journalist. Yes, I was in fact arrested. The charge was trespassing after warning. They took me out, as you could see there in the handcuffs, set me down in a patrol car, then said that they would give me some ticket that would allow me not to have to actually be booked into the jail, but arrested, yes.
All right. So, and so they're saying that, well, only media could be there. The point that you kept making was, I want to ask this governor some questions because it's not like he's been present for citizens to ask him questions.
Precisely. The bottom line here is that this was a public official in a public building on public property. Fact of the matter is, DeSantis has been running the state of Florida like a dictator for far too long. Today we said no longer. Today we said hell to the no. To the contrary, this man does not have absolute power. Here in Jacksonville, the activist movement decided to check him. We said to the governor, check yourself before you wreck yourself. We will not allow him to have absolute power with no constitutional limitations any longer. We will not allow this governor to continue to trample and to stifle our rights. We know that this is a governor who wants to violate our constitutional rights to assemble and to protest. Jacksonville is now ground level zero. We're calling out on our activist friends to join us right here in Jacksonville as we continue to turn it up, because we have to look out for the rights of poor and Black people. We cannot sit back any longer quietly with lockjaw. We're going to disrupt this situation, just as Dr. King did and John Lewis did when they crossed over the Edmund Pettus Bridge more than 50 years ago. We're accepting the baton, Roland, in the relay race of history, a baton that was run with the race of our ancestors and other activists before us, Fannie Lou Hamer, Medgar Evers, John Lewis, Stokely Carmichael, and others. We are going to continue to stand up, speak out against any and all forms of social, racial, and economic injustice.
Obviously, Ron DeSantis is desperately trying to run for re-election as to governor of Florida, but also he wants to run for president in 2024.
Right. Well, the bottom line here is that when politicians begin to put politics ahead of human life, then we, the people, must stand up. Throughout the entire course of this pandemic journey that we're all on, this governor has been asleep at the wheel, not paying attention to the important problems of the pandemic. And of course, as you mentioned, in recent weeks, he has been missing in action. We are suggesting, humbly so, that it's time for this governor to straighten up and fly right. Time for him to stop playing politics with the pandemic. Time for him, for that matter, to stop playing politics with the murder of George Floyd and this HB1 law where he's trying to stop us from protesting. The people of Florida need politicians who are prepared to provide us with greater trust, transparency, and accountability. This governor is not that person. He is unreliable, undependable, not genuine, not good, not honest. He's corrupt. He's an enemy of the people.
Questions from my panelist, Mustafa, first.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, for standing up. You had mentioned that you need other activists to come and join. What would that look like? How can folks be helpful?
Well, we want other activists throughout the United States to understand that Jacksonville and the progressive community down here is quickly becoming ground level zero of all places. We shouldn't be surprised. Places like Montgomery, places like Selma and Birmingham became that ground level zero for so many times in the past. We shouldn't be surprised that a place like Jacksonville, where Axe Handle Saturday took place back in August of 1960, when we attempted to integrate public accommodation down here. And so we shouldn't be surprised. We need to hear from Al Sharpton of the National Action Network. We need to hear from Jesse Jackson, who we talked with a few weeks ago. We need grassroots community activists to go ahead and understand that we need help down here in Jacksonville, that we must begin to speak out and push against all the economic disparities that so many of us are confronted with throughout the United States. Healthcare, housing, economics. We've got to address these issues. It's time for us to light this thing up again and not sit back and take it. I'm telling you that, quite frankly speaking, as an activist, I'm mad as hell and I'm not taking it anymore. We're going to stand up and we're going to speak out, and we're asking others to join us. Our website, you can go to national website is the organization, the Northside Coalition of Jacksonville. And our email address, of course, is northsidecoalition@gmail.com.
I'm sure that's music to the ears of Demario Solomon Simmons, Demario.
Yeah, Brother Ben, I'm so glad that you're safe. I wanted to ask you about what are you going to do legally? I mean, and I watched the video. It looks like you may have a claim for the violation of your First Amendment rights, but also, my mother uses a walker, and so very sympathetic and very concerned to see them not allow you to use your walker as you walked out the room. You may have a claim for ADA, Americans with Disability Act violation. Are you pursuing any of those claims to show these people, not only from an activist standpoint, but from a legal standpoint, you will stand up and fight these claims on all fronts?
We're going to fight the claim on all fronts, yes, sir. But there's one fish that's a bigger fish that we need to fry, and that is the HB1 law, which the governor has signed into law last May. We are fighting that. We are in the courts right now. The Northside Coalition, my organization, which I founded, is one of 6 plaintiffs suing this governor. We have a preliminary injunction already, and we're trying to understand that this whole law, HB1, needs to be thrown out. It is unconstitutional, and it is a violation of our First Amendment rights. It clearly violates our freedom of speech and our rights to assemble and to protest. This law is not what democracy looks like. We will not be stifled by this governor's brand of racist politics.
We have a very similar law to that in Oklahoma that's being challenged in the courts, also a preliminary injunction. They also try to make it legal, and maybe they're doing this in Florida, where you can run over protesters and not suffer any type of legal liability. And that certainly is targeted towards Black and brown activists to keep us quiet and keep us out of the streets and out of utilizing our constitutional rights. So, Brother Ben, I'm excited to meet you, and I'm proud of you, and we will stand with you and the other people at the Northside Coalition of Jacksonville.
We're calling on activists everywhere. Use this as our reckoning, our wake-up call. It's time for us to stand up and to speak out. No more silence. Let's stand up.
Xavier.
Mr. Frazier, I have a question about some of the legal wranglings that's there. Did they have anything posted about credentialed journalists? Was that something that was in view? And how long were you there before you were arrested? Because they talked about giving you a warning about what the situation was. And it just appears as if they ad hoc kind of changed on the fly who was allowed and who wasn't allowed in terms of a public space. And that really speaks to your First Amendment violation. So Where does that stand in terms of how you were warned, in terms of any signage ahead of time, and also when you got to the facility, how long it took for them to wrangle you up?
Well, actually, I think that's a very good question. They tried to prevent us going upstairs to where the news conference would be held from the very beginning. A building manager blocked the elevator door and stopped our entry going to the third floor. He eventually moved out of the way. We went up to the third floor. There was no signage whatsoever. They knew, I think, that Ben Fraizer was an activist who was prepared to confront this governor and prepared to confront this situation. So they kind of like were concerned. They could have taken our questions, Roland, and simply answered them. The governor could have answered them and went on his way back to the state capitol in Tallahassee. Instead, they escalated the situation and made it much more than anything that we had planned. It is unfortunate, but I am here to tell you that we will not put up with this in a violation of our First Amendment rights. It is absolutely imperative. Public expression is critical to a functioning democracy.
Ben, we appreciate it. We look forward to your next engagement with Governor Ron DeSantis.
Thank you so much for having us, guys. Just remember, Jacksonville is ground level zero. We need all grassroots activists to join us in the fight for social justice right here in Jacksonville, Florida.
All right, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Back to that Roland Martin unfiltered video in just one moment.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow, Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?